So Paul, thank you for joining us on Chamber Chat. We now have Paul Evans. He's the principal consultant with Mayberry Leadership Institute. So this is an opportunity for people to get to know you as Paul Evans. Why did you start Mayberry Leadership Institute in our community?
Well, first, thank you for the invite to come. I started Mayberry Institute, MayberryLeadershipInstitute.com, in this community because this is where I live. This is where I was raised. And though I spent a lot of years away because of the military and other things, this is home.
So what makes our community, what's a special feature about our community, do you think?
I think the people, the place, it's a blending of both agricultural and business as well as education. So it's, for my interest, it's a perfect nexus.
Excellent. So you're a recent chamber member for a little over a year now. What would you say is one of your better benefits of being a chamber member?
Well, I'm a recent member again, because when I was mayor, I was also a member of the chamber. And one of the things that I really missed was the opportunity to network and the opportunity to get to know some of the folks that are out there every day trying to help the economy grow. So that's why I joined again.
Excellent. So professionally, you've got the Mayberry Leadership Institute. What would you say is one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
Well, Mayberry Leadership Institute is basically, it's a consulting firm, and it's also an enterprise that allows me to write books, develop seminars, and to train teachers. And one of the most important ones, one of the most important experiences I've had is working with an organization called SERVE. It's a Pentagon-funded study for reintegration of veterans. And I'm one of the paid consultants in that process. And I think overall, what it's going to be doing in terms of transitioning the workplace for returning veterans is really going to be a big deal. So I'm really very grateful to be a part of that.
So as a former person who served in the military yourself, obviously you have a passion to help other servicemen and women to re-enter the workplace once their tours are done. And this is obviously an opportunity for you to do that, an outlet that helps you accomplish that.
Right. In 1992, I joined the Air Force, and I spent about 20 years retiring this past May. And one of the things they tell you is, you know, you raise your right hand, you join the military. But that oath doesn't really end. So it's an opportunity for me to give back, even though I'm no longer in uniform. So it really means a lot.
Nice. So let's turn to more personal.
Get
to know
yes,
you personally.
personal.
Yes. Professionally, it's giving back, working with servicemen and women. Personally, what would be one of your greatest accomplishments or achievements?
Well, I was born and raised in Monmouth, or at least born in Salem and raised most of my life in Monmouth, went through Central School District. So most of the people here actually know me personally. But one of the things that really has meant the most to me was when I had the opportunity to serve as a mayor in the city of Monmouth. I did school board and city council as well, but when you actually get a chance to be mayor of your hometown, it's a very special, personal experience, and I'm grateful for that opportunity.
And you were younger when you served as mayor.
I was elected when I was 28. Yeah.
That's a great accomplishment at a younger age.
Would have loved to have served longer, but unfortunately, some people tore down or crashed into some buildings and I had to go fight a war.
Right, a little bit of a interruption of your path
yeah.
at that point. So, looking at where you are now, what's a hobby or an interest that people might be surprised that you do, where you had a skill set?
Well, one of the things I really got interested in while I was away was sailing. And you don't do a lot of wet water sailing in Oregon because the waters are not exactly terribly warm. But one of the things that I really enjoy doing when I'm in warmer climates is wet water sailing.
I will agree that the water is not as warm coming from North Carolina, going to the beach in the summertime, the Atlantic Ocean. One can actually get in and swim and playfully have a good time. Not quite the same opportunity here on the Oregon coast.
I was stationed at Fort Walton Beach, Florida, as they like to say, the Gulf Coast. And the water was in the 70s, so when you came off the sailboat, it was like you're in a bathtub. It was great.
Right, and just not quite a beautiful Oregon coast. The Oregon coast is gorgeous.
No better place in the world to be, but perhaps not for wet water sailing.
Correct, or just splashing about with the family. Right.
That's right.
So living in the Mid-Willamette Valley, we talk about the natural beauty that's here, the community feel of Monmouth and Independence. What would you say is one of the biggest attractions to our community, to the Willamette Valley area?
I think many people would say location, because you're an hour away from pretty much anything you want to do, the mountains or the city or the coast. And some people would say the people. For me, it's just the wonder of never knowing what you're going to see next. We live in an area where you can drive to work, or I work at Chemeketa. So when I drive to Chemeketa, some days I'll have to slow down because of tractors. Some days I'll get to see a beautiful fog in the morning. When the winter and fall and spring come along, there's just different aspects that if you live in different places around the world, you can get a snapshot of, but you just never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like the Forrest Gump box of chocolates thing. Living in Monmouth, you just never know what you're going to get. And that natural splendor and that opportunity of where people have found really a sustainable way to live here just is a draw. And I could have lived in a lot of other places thanks to the military. I spent a lot of time in other countries, not always great places to be, but nonetheless a lot of other places. There's just no other singular location where people are as interested in sustaining the environment or in developing the kinds of lifestyle, cyber village, if you will, as this place. And it just always has a tug on my heart, and that's why I came back.
So I've heard previous people who have participated with Chamber Chat reference a similar component of, I've lived elsewhere and I could have stayed elsewhere, but I intentionally chose to come back.
That's right.
So again, the pull for you to return to this community and all that it offers outweighed the benefits of living in other places.
That's right. In fact, that's one of the reasons I named the company Mayberry. Growing up in the only dry town west of the Mississippi, we used to laugh about some of the peculiarities of Mayberry. And the fact of the matter is, there's just no better place to be.
So Mayberry, North Carolina, Andy Griffith, got a little connection there.
Indeed. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. So one more question, and we'll wrap this up.
Sure.
What would you say are some of your other interests? You said an unknown hobby or skill set would be the wet sailing, but what are some other things you do in your spare time? What spare time you have?
Well, I'm currently a candidate for the legislature. That's a hobby as well as an effort. And I like to fish. It's killing me a little bit because I'm working very hard on the campaign and not going salmon fishing, which I normally do this time of year. And I like to write a lot. I've written a few books. One or two fiction, which are fine, they're okay. But I like to write books about community and communication and how people in a practical sense can actually learn how to communicate and listen and learn from each other. And that exercise is actually interesting to me. I've had a very interesting life and very blessed for that. Having spent 20 years in the military, but 10 different contingencies, 4.5 years in combat zones, I got to see a lot of the world, and I got an opportunity to realize just how special it is to be where we are as Americans at this point in time, how much work we have to do, and yet how much bounty we have. So my hobbies really are trying to find ways to express some of those experiences so that hopefully they can help others.
So basically, your personal life definitely rolls into your professional life, which rolls into the Mayberry Leadership Institute, which rolls into just sort of a full circle, if you will, of who you are, giving back to the community, loving this area, and helping to improve it and keep it strong.
I was 18 years old when this community gave me an opportunity to serve. And though looking back, I'm still not exactly sure why they did that. I'm very grateful that they did. And what that gave me was a sense of duty to make sure that I try to serve the community in whatever ways I can for as long as I can. So it really does cross over. I mean, my grandpa believed that basically you should always be working. And he found ways to enjoy life through work, and he taught that to his son, and my dad and grandpa taught it to me. And serving this community, there are ways to do it and have fun at the same time. I'm now currently a member of the Rotary over in Salem, and we do projects where we build gardens or do other things that, quite frankly, I don't know much about gardening, but it's a chance to play with power tools and do things for the community. So you try to find ways that you can do things that aren't necessarily related to a profession, but still helping, hopefully, at least some people in your community. So that's what I do for fun.
Excellent. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Chamber Chat. And
Thank you for this
appreciate your time.
opportunity. I appreciate it very much.